Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that I am Professor Robert E.G. Black, and this is the Groundhog Day Project.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening.
Time.
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
The last revision is what counts, apparently.
You know what this minute is? Nothing. No, the transcript is empty because there's no dialogue. All that we see is we got the great moment at the beginning of this minute where Nancy kind of casually, she's already kind of dancing to the music, and she just lifts Larry's hand off her shoulder and pushes it away. She doesn't make a big move out of it, just nope. Then we get Rita noticing that Phil is playing the piano. Back and forth shots of Phil playing, Rita walking through the crowd with a big grin on her face. She's fascinated by this and intrigued by the transformation of this asshole that was in the van with her yesterday and did a great report this morning, but then disappeared for 12 hours. Maybe more than 12 hours. Don't know exactly what time it is right now.
Jumping in from editing because obviously we know roughly that it's after 8 p.m. I've referenced a couple minutes ago the deleted scene with the old man being found by the paramedics in the alley. That is sometime after 8 p.m. because the poem that Phil wrote said he died at 8:02. That scene's not in the movie, sure, but it is in the final script. It was shot. It is available. I put it up on YouTube. I think it's called like By the Bricks Glow or something like that. So, yeah, Phil disappeared for more than 12 hours. The prognostication is at 7:20. Even if his little speech was like 10 minutes long, at 7:30 it's still before 8 a.m. And then he went off to do his errands. Since the dialogue tells us that Buster choking was lunch, we don't even know what Phil's been doing for several hours since the afternoon. Maybe hanging out with Mary, proving one more time to her that he's in a time loop so she knows that she's responsible for all of his piano playing so she can brag about it next minute. What else is he doing? The movie kind of glosses over it. Give him 3.5 errands and call it a day. They don't want you to think about it, and you don't think about it, because we get here and there's music and it's fun, and there's funny parts. And at this point we shouldn't care. I just care because it's the minute-by-minute format. Movies by minutes is like that. You get to obsess about the moments that you might not even notice otherwise. And in this case, I don't even know what to call the episode, because there's no dialogue. I've been using dialogue for everything. Can an episode have no title? I don't think so. Anyway, yeah, it's been more than 12 hours that he left. So Rita's surprised, intrigued.
Things to notice in this minute. Lots of people in the crowd that you probably saw elsewhere in the film. And we don't see either banner very well, but there's a banner above the archway in the back, and there's a banner on the curtains. I know the banner in the back says it, and I think the banner above the stage also says it, but we never see it clearly. It is that banner that establishes what year Groundhog Day this is, and I forget what number it says.
The 105th. 105.
And I don't feel like doing the math right now, but we also get the banner out at Gobbler's Knob, out in the square, that says that the first one was in 1887. When you do the math, we end up getting the movie set in 1991. Filmed in 92, released in 93, but set in 91. Rita approaches. Phil notices her. He suddenly takes off his sunglasses because he's playing nice, energetic music. He sees her, takes his sunglasses off, puts up a fist to stop the band, like he's conducting them. So he's got more than just piano going on here. And I feel like he's done this before. This isn't his first day playing at the banquet. He knows how this is going to go. He knows when Rita walks in. Which, if you're the cynical version of trying to figure out how long Phil was in the loop, this would be why you would know he didn't have to actually learn to play a lot of piano. He only needs to learn these two pieces of music, because if he knows when Rita is walking in, He knows I need to be playing when she comes in, and then I switch to this other song, 18th variation of a theme on Paganini by Rachmaninoff, and then jazz that up going into next minute to get her attention, and then he leaves the stage and dances with her, and it's time for the auction. So all we know for sure, just like we only know that he doesn't learn French, he quotes one line from a Belgian song, we don't know that he actually learned the piano. He knows how to play 2 pieces of music. Cynical side, this doesn't tell us much other than Phil knows when Rita's arriving. He's ready. He knows that she's going to pay attention. Optimistic, or a more positive spin here, is he needs to know when Rita comes in because he's trying to make her day better just like he's trying to make everyone else's day better. You switch from the one music to this one to kind of calm the room, play it down. And then when the crowd doesn't seem to want to, dance to a slow song, how do you dance to Rachmaninoff? I'm not sure. Is he jazzes it up and turns it into something they can dance to. And that is all I have for minute 87. This might be the shortest episode of the season because, as I said, no dialogue. Just Larry's hand, Rita's walking, Phil's sunglasses, music switch. Boom. There's not even any great dancing in this sequence because we're close up on Rita walking through the crowd. So we don't get like the aerial shot last time, or I think it's next minute where we're going to see Debbie dancing like crazy. Yeah, that's all I got. So I don't know what I'm going to tell you today. Go listen to some music or go walk through a crowd. And pay attention to the crowd. Rita's focus on Phil, but I think you need to pay attention to the people that are around you sometimes. Just to get a feel, get a vibe, understand how strangers are. It's a really weird thing to say. Anyway, most of you are probably strangers. I know a few of you that are listening to this for sure. Sean, you're probably listening to it pretty soon after it comes out. Luke will probably eventually get to it. Bubba Wheat probably listen to it. A few other Movies by Minutes people. Hey, how you doing? If I haven't been on one of your shows in a while, get in touch with me and have me be a guest. I love doing guest spots because there's not as much stress and not as much prep, although I will prep. If you got a location in your movie and you really want to figure out where did they film that, give me that minute. I will try to find it for you. Or if you've got newspaper articles in the background, anyone go listen to my guest spot on Close Encounters of the Third Kind Minute? Or what did they call that show? Close Encounters of the Third Minute? No, that doesn't it. What do they call that show? I think it had a nickname. On that one, I just happened to be in the minute where there's a whole bunch of newspaper and magazine articles in the background, so I looked them all up. I found the real articles. I'll catalog that shit. When it's just my show, it can get a little tedious because I'll do that every minute. I'm looking up the kind of equipment they're using in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I'm looking up random documents and things that are in the background. That's why this season 3, I'm trying not to do any of that, not look up any of this stuff. I'll tell you what I know, and with this movie I know a lot because I've watched it many times and I've written hundreds of thousands of words about it. But I'm not sitting here and listing off every person who's in the shot of this crowd or tracking props and things. I did point out where there were dogs all over the Cherry Street and one outside Mary's house, but I'm not going to count them for you. I'm not going to figure out what brand of lamp something is, although I definitely would have done that for the blog, and did for some. I can get in the weeds very easily when it comes to stuff like that, which is why this season 3 format is kind of fun for me, because it's very minimal. It's watch the minute, record the episode, and I'm going to have all of them recorded before I clean up any of the audio. I checked to make sure there was audio, that my voice recorder was working. Otherwise, I'm going to have the whole season recorded before I clean up anything or edit anything. And I'm going to still try to do the least amount of editing I can. I want it to be kind of raw and straightforward. Kind of like Pump Up the Minute was, if you listen to that show of mine with my wife that we did together 5 years ago. It was before the election of 2020. We did it in 4-minute chunks so that it would end on election day because we talked about a lot of politics in that show. Pump up the volume, 4 minutes at a time. And there was definitely stuff to look up with that one when we did Arrival, 5-minute Arrival together. We did that in 5-minute chunks because I wasn't going to make my wife do 1 minute at a time. I don't think she wants to look at the same movie for that long. But 5-minute Arrival, there was a lot to look up because there were geographic coordinates, there were location images. Sometimes those didn't go together, and so I described how they fit or didn't fit. It had pictures of locations, pictures of where the other alien ships were, and the supposed coordinates for them. They had all the alien language symbols, which altogether, though we see them all over the place, it's a lot of repeats. I think there's only about 20. For some reason, I'm thinking the number 22. Like there's 22 different ones we see in the movie. But even some of those, we're not 100% sure what they mean unless they are labeled on a picture that we see in the film. But I still went through and found where they were in the movie and pointed them out and how some of them work. And figuring out other things about filming locations. I love behind-the-scenes information. When I was doing Michael Myers Minute, I drove to every location where they filmed and took pictures. If I go back to Michael Myers Minute, it's still something in the back of my head I'd like to do. And do Halloween 2, which I have been to. Some of those are repeat locations. The Myers house is still in South Pass, although it has moved. They moved a house. The hospital... Have I ever been by the hospital? I know where it is, but I don't think I've ever been there to take pictures because I never got around to doing my season 2 of Michael Myers Minute. Maybe I'll get to that. Maybe it's my next thing. I don't think it's my next thing, but it could be. Depends on the mood. Depends on the mood. I'm going to talk more about my future plans when the credits are rolling. Fuck it. Music, dance, go dance. That's my advice for you today. None of that weird looking at strangers thing. Go dance. And for next minute, dance like crazy.
Knew you were gonna say that.
This has been a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find links to more at lemmingdrops.com or join the Facebook group Lemming Drops Studio Tour. Also, you can support all my shows at patreon.com/lemmingdrops.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or which comes again and again, lapping, like waves?
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is. Particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.
Remember when Groundhog Day was just a movie?